Should be right. Okay. So let me just share my screen. So can you all see that?
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, right. Lovely. Okay. So what I've put together here is kind of something really for the start. And Leslie, in your case, it might be a case of reviewing this if you're coming to the end of your job search journey. But some questions really that to ask yourself, which will give you a yes, a no, and a maybe answer to help you build up a picture of what are your non-negotiables when you look for your next job. Um, I'm a great believer that it's really important to look for the right job rather than any job. Um, you don't want to be doing this whole process again in 6 months' time. It's not good for you in terms of your mental health, and it's definitely not good in terms of things like your CV and your career progression as well. And I commonly see a lot of people who have perhaps had quite a stable career. Their job has finished, whether it's as a result of redundancy or whether they've chosen to leave because management's changed or whatever, and then have had a number of jobs in quite quick succession. And because they haven't kind of understood what it was that they were really looking for. So hopefully this will start you thinking about what it is that you're after. So in terms of, first off, I would have a think about what it is about your last job. Look at what you didn't like as well as what you do like. So, it could be that actually you found the commute was quite difficult, or it could be around office politics. It could be around a member of the team. You could want more holiday allowance. So, it's about being clear on these to help match yourself to the next role more effectively. So, right, can you see these? So a few things to consider, right? So I don't know if you've got pen and paper with you, but these are some of the things that you should have a think about. So the first off is, do you need to have a stable income as soon as possible? And there's a lot of work on this actually on the Career Boost platform. And everybody is in a different situation. And I think it's really important. You don't need to recognize it to other people, and other people on this call, but to have a think about what your personal situation is. Because what it helps you do is to plan how long you can look for a position. Do you need to consider the needs of your family? They can be so disappointing having family, can't they? And needs that you have to consider. But, what's your personal situation? Who else do you need to involve in your journey? Do you need to stay in your current location? Would you consider moving somewhere else? How about working abroad? Is that something that could be relevant for you? Are you looking for a job that is similar to the job that you had last, or are you looking at something completely different? And I think it's worth, if you are looking for something different, really explore that, because it's not, sometimes it's the grass is greener. And actually, rather than thinking, I want something different, so moving away from what you've currently got, think about what you're looking to move towards. So that you're really clear in terms of what it is that you want from the next role. Would you be willing to relocate? Is that something that would be appropriate for you, and for your sort of current situation? If you're looking at doing a different role and perhaps something that's not that you've not done before, would you be happy to go back to full or part-time study? If you need to increase your skills, and how will that affect your job search? And would you like to work closely with people? Are you better in an office environment, or do you want to be somewhere where there's some distance between you? What does that really look like? Um, and then a few other things as well. So would you like to do manual work? So for me, I'm very much an office-based person, but I like to be out and about. I like to it's not manual work, not by any stretch, but I do like to do driving. I like to meet people. That's something that I find is quite important for me. Are you in a position where actually you've got a good skill base that you could package up, so you could consider running your own business? What does that look like? Does that need exploring a little bit more? How would that work for you? So And this was something we've talked about already, but would you like to take some time off before taking your next position? This is something that, if you can be really useful. It could be that you might think, yeah, actually I do, but I want to secure that job first of all. So what you can do is kind of give yourself a month's notice period and think, well, okay, I'll secure the job, but tell them I can't start until the following month, to give yourself a little bit longer. But are you wanting to look straight away, or is it something that you're wanting to consider in 6 months' time? The other thing is, if you have got a time that you don't want to be working, it's not necessarily relevant to start looking for a position now. So if you're thinking, actually, I'll take the next 6 months off, take the 6 months off, or take at least 4 months off before you start looking. If you start applying for stuff now, people aren't going to be really interested. So I would, just kind of bear that in mind, really. Are you prepared to travel further to and from work than you were doing before? Was the commute okay? Actually, was it a bit far? What does a boundary look like? And certainly when we're looking and considering candidates for our roles, we do that. We draw a line around the area to look at exactly where we are happy for candidates to live within, and for most people, and a half hour, an hour to 3/4 of an hour commute is probably what people are up to. What does that look like for you? Are you looking for something that's going to offer you a greater challenge? Or are you looking for something that's perhaps a little bit less pressure? And what did you find gave you pressure in your last role, and how would you like to remove that from your next position? And then the one I always think is a little bit contentious: are you happy to earn less than you are currently? So there's lots more information again on the Career Boost platform around this, but things like other things to consider are things like, is your job title important to you? What does it look like? What sort of roles should you be looking for? And I think that, for me, one of the most important thing is around values. How does the company that I am currently working for, or the company I'm looking at applying to, reflect my personal values, and what values do they hold important? So, for example, if you're looking for a company that's a family-owned business, for example, ones that looks after its employees, has a nice scheme, a good team feel to it. Are the companies that you are applying to, do they reflect that? The other thing that, by doing this work, can help you create is a list of questions to ask when you get to interview, so that you can find out more about the company and more about the expectations of you in the job as you move forward. So that's it, really. So what I want you to do, or what is a good thing to do, is to spend some time writing out what your next job ideally looks like. And there are lots of benefits to not just thinking this, but actually putting pen to paper or fingers to keyboard, however you choose to do it. It makes it easier if you're clear in terms of what you're looking for. It makes it easier if somebody else asks you what it is that you're looking for. And it helps you visualize it better because you're using a different part of the brain. The other thing it helps you to do is to think about that plan A and plan B. Plan A is the perfect job. How long can you afford to look for that position before you might need to open it up to other things? So, again, that's very personal around your own situation. So I would really urge that you spend some time doing that, sort of following this call. So that's it, really. Are there any questions? Just sort of stopping the share. I didn't know whether anybody got any questions following that. So
Not for me at the minute.
yeah, go on, Leslie.
No, I'm okay, thank you at the moment.
Okay. All right, no
I've just
problem.
been settling myself after getting home.
Right, okay. If you have got anything, you can always ask me. The other thing I was just going to say is, so I run these sessions every week at 12:30 on a Wednesday. So if you want some support, so whether that is around different, if you want me to look at your CV, or if you've got a job specification and you want to know exactly what it is that they're looking for from this, whatever. Next week I am running a drop-in clinic, so come along to that. I run these sessions over a 12-week block. So next week it's a drop-in session, and then the week after that we're looking at how to get your LinkedIn profile so it's being seen by recruiters, so that you're delegating some of the work, really. So thank you ever so much. As I say, if there's any questions, I'm happy to stay on the call. And you know, thank you for your time.
Oh,
Thank
thank you,
you.
Caroline. And